morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Can you hear me fine? I'm afraid of microphones. Holding that thing in my hand is kind of nerve-wracking to me. So it doesn't matter how many times I stand in front of people, I always get nervous. So I tend to walk a lot. I don't know what it is, but yes, like Mr. Stover said, thank you very much. Judy, my great friend right here, she's going to be tap dancing for us at the end. You know, Betsy. Thank you for this opportunity. For me, it's very important to have this conversation with you guys because home visits is not an easy thing to do. It's very difficult, specifically when you have a lot of culture mixed up in one town. I'm from Winona-Willimantic, and we have 62%, I believe, Latino population there right now. The other 38% is mixed up between white, Afro-American, Asian, and Ibo-Americans, from South America, of course. How many of you actually perform home visits? Let me see. Is it easy?
No.
No? What are some of the problems that you encounter?
Well, it's a trust factor, and if parents trust you, they'll let you in. A lot around trust.
And it takes a lot, right, to build that trust, especially when they have some bad experiences in school before. And that's actually the roadblock that we're trying to destroy, to overcome. So the best way for me, as a family liaison, to create that trust is by calling them first. I call them. Sometimes they get annoyed and they hang up on me. Oh, no, hell no, him again? I'm not answering the phone. So I called again. I said, listen, I'm just here to help you out. This is what I have. So what do I have to offer always is a positive for every negative that I have to say. And that's something that you always have to remember. When you're going to talk about their kids, about their child, you should always bring a positive before any negative. Because they will listen to you. They will hear you, right? But sometimes we have those that they don't want to hear it anyways. Oh, no. My child? No. That's not going to happen. So that's when I say, okay, so how about if I go to your house, and I show you some documentation, and we can, talk about it a little more in depth. What is the first answer for that? Oh, I'm not going to be around. I have to go somewhere. I have a doctor's appointment. But wait, when I called you yesterday, you said you didn't have a car. But now you have a doctor's appointment? Okay, at what time are you going to be back? Well, I don't know. All right, how about tomorrow? The key point here is that you have to keep trying and trying and trying. You don't give them a lot of choices, a lot of options. You actually, at the end, you have to just to show up. Go there and show up, but make sure you're ready and you're prepared. Let's talk about Latino culture. We don't open the door to everyone. We don't. If I don't know you, I'm going to look through the window. Right? And if I see a badge like this hanging from my neck, I say, oh no, that's the CF. And they hide. And that's something that I have to overcome. So that's why I call first. And as soon as I see the window, just moving to the side, say, hey, hi, I'm Robinson from the Wyndham High School. How are you? Oh, from the high school. Who are you, a social worker? No. I'm just a family liaison. And I'm here to bring resources to help you help your kid. And all of a sudden, they open the door. I'm still not welcome to their house, but they do open the door. And I'm honest with them. This is the purpose and the reason for my visit. But I'm not here to say you're doing wrong. I'm here to tell you what you can do better. How can you help your kid do better? You need to bring information with you, all resources. You never go empty-handed because they're going to look at you like, okay, so what's next? So you came to my house to tell me that my kid is failing or my kid is truant. What I'm supposed to do? I don't know. I'll get back to you. No, you need to go to their house with information. Okay? Do your research first. I had an experience, and I'm going to share with you. My very first year as a family liaison, my very first home visit. Wow. That was in 2011. It was November. And we had a family in their need. They have 5 kids. 2 of them had some sort of hygiene problem. So we had to take care of it. Nobody wanted to go to their house for some reason, which I didn't know at the time. That was some piece of information that I could have used. Yeah. Yeah. So I went into the house with a bunch of things that I didn't know what was for. It was given to me by the principal. I didn't have the time to read it, go through it, sort it out. No. He told me, no, I'm sorry, she told me at the time, the nurse is going to go with you because it's a hygiene problem. Okay, so let's go. I go to the house. I didn't call. I didn't study the area. I didn't know the socioeconomics of that sector. I didn't even know that they were Puerto Ricans. I was inferring that they were Puerto Ricans because they had a Latino last name. But that doesn't mean anything. So I get to the house, I knock at the door. He opened the door and he said, "What do you want?" And I froze. Are you such and such father? Yes. That was my first mistake. I should have introduced myself first. Tell him who I am and what's the reason for my visit. So he looked at me and said, "Yeah, I'm that person. It's okay, I'm here because your daughters are having a hygiene problem." Second mistake. Second biggest mistake ever. Okay? What happened after that cost me a red flag in that sector. Okay? I was not allowed to go to that area for about a few months. We had a verbal altercation because he was not that welcoming, so he ended up spitting on my face. Yes, it happens. It happens. But you know what? I didn't take it personal. What I did was, when I went back to my office, I started researching why that happened. What did I do wrong? And it was very simple. I was not being a friend of that person. I was just going there representing the district. They don't want to see that. They want to see a friend. They want to feel welcome. They want to feel like you're really there to help them. So now this person is one of my best friends because I made my homework. I called him every other week and I told him, "I'm here to help. I'm here to help your child do better. All you need to do is ask for that help. Allow me to help you. Here are the resources. These are the different entities that you can use to help your family." Now for every single problem that he has, he called me. Oh, God, Lord, good Lord, yes. He does. Hey, listen, by the way, my water is kind of dirty right now. I said, okay, I'm going to give you the phone number for Waterworks. It's not school related, but I'm going to help you. So you have to create rapport. Afro-American families. We see a person of color and we right away think that they are Afro-American. Do your homework, because they're not. I made that mistake too. And you think that we are kind of hard-headed? They are worse. I was kicked out of a house too because I thought they were Afro-American when they were actually from the islands. Different culture. Different way to deal with people. No trust whatsoever. You have to earn it. And that's the thing that we have to do as district employees. We have to earn the trust of the parents, of the family, before you can step in the house. Before you can tell them, this is what's wrong with your child. If you don't earn that trust, how can you call them out? How many times you go to a home visit and they close the door on your face? Let's see. Never? I'll be afraid of you too. I'll be, yes, you can come in, yes. Do you ever had that experience where you go to a house and all of a sudden the person says, "No, I don't have the time now, sorry." I have. And that's a barrier that I've been kind of overcoming. They know me now. But how I was able to be successful? I started going to where they shop. Stop and Shop. Shop Right. Price Right. They have some good sazon there, right? Yeah. Any place that they sell Goya product, I was there. Yes, Walmart, Marshalls, TJ Maxx, all around town, so they could see my face. That way, when I was knocking at the door, they would say, "Oh yeah, you're the Goya dude, right? Yes, I saw you in Stop and Shop. Yeah, how you doing? Yeah, man, that day, yeah, it was really hot." But that's your way to start a conversation on your way in their houses, which is a sacred place, right? You wouldn't invite anybody to your house, right? You will have to trust that person first before that person can step in. So let them know you, not just by calling them, but just being around. You have to be around. It's not an easy job to do. So far, since August 2014, I have racked 197 home visits. Yes, and that's only high school level. Most of my visits are truancy related, okay? So what do? That's my motivation to bring education to the house. I come with education, with materials explaining why are their students truant and how this is going to affect their lives. I teach the parents, I educate them. That way they can say, "Oh no, you going back to school. I don't know what you're doing, but you're going back to school." They know that they will be held accountable by law. Once they know that, everything changes. My other visits are either because they're not doing well academically, or they have some sort of fights, or they just refuse to work. But before I go to the house, let's say a teacher wants me to go to a home visit, I ask the teacher, "Okay, you're sending me to the house because there's a negative situation happening in the classroom. Find me a positive first." I don't have a positive. Then sorry, I cannot go. I need a positive. What are you talking about? I don't have a positive. There must be a positive. There's always a positive. Listen, he's a great artist. I mean, he's a great musician. I don't know. He's a good listener. I don't know. He walks on the right all the time when he's in the hallway. He eats all his food. Whatever. Just give me something so I can start the conversation with that positive. And it works. It works. It took me time to realize it, but it works. Some teachers are hesitant to say, "Yes, that student has a positive behavior." No, they don't give you that. So then I go to the principal or to the counselor. And I ask them, "Do you have any positive experience with this student?" And they would tell you, "Actually, yeah. Last week, actually, there was a situation in the classroom, and he was the only student who was away from the situation." That's all I need. You go to the house with that, and they open the door for you. Bottom line. Then you can lay down the negatives. But still, they're not going to digest that well, but it'll be more welcome. Okay? And in the future, they will open the door a lot faster for you. Now, usually, we don't perform visits alone. And that's the number one rule. You should not perform visits alone. I do, sadly, because most of my visits have to be done like pronto, like right away. But I always recommend everyone to go with a partner, at least one person. Now, that person has to be key for the home visit. If you're going for truancy problems, you should bring a truancy officer with you or the truancy person with you. If you're having problems because, academics, you should bring the counselor with you. One of the counselors. If you have a problem with behavior, the social worker should be involved on that visit as well. Okay? Or, this is my favorite one, suspensions. An administrator should be with you. Okay? As a family liaison, we're supposed to create a bridge, a positive bridge with the families. We are not supposed to be the negative, news bearer. No. I'm doing it because it's much needed in my site. But honestly, when there's something negative, it should come from an administrator. Like a suspension, possible expulsion, stuff like that. So I made it clear to my school, and my site, and Mrs. Story backs me up on this all the time. If I'm gonna go out for a negative, I need the administrator to go with me. I will open that door for you, but then you will lay down the negative. And then I will run away. But honestly, home visits is not an easy thing to do. It took me years to be able to be okay at it. I'm still not good. There's still families that, of course, they are reluctant to opening the doors. We need to understand that their social economics, their backgrounds, their education doesn't help them. So that's something that we need to take into consideration. How do they live? So when you go to a house and they welcome you and you see a mess, you cannot judge right away. You have to think, why? Why am I seeing this? Okay? Don't say, oh my God, they have a mess, DCF. That's not going to help the family right away. You have to think first, why they have a mess? Why? Is it a cultural thing? How many families are living here? Maybe they're doubled up, and I don't know anything about it. Maybe they don't even live here. Which I had a case, actually. I had a home visit to perform. I had an address. Never heard of it. Been living in Willimantic for quite a few years. Never heard of that address. I knew about the street. I didn't know that number was existent. Fair enough, the number was not existent. It was a minivan. It was a minivan. There was 2 kids sleeping on the back, a newborn on the front seat, and a father on the driver's seat. I was like, what should I do? What should I do? Should I call DCF? Or should I call the police? So I did what was right. I brought them to the shelter. Then I contacted a social worker from DCF. That family now has a place where to live. So you need to know what you're doing when you're out there. Have all your tools ready. And don't take it personal. That's the more important thing. Do not take it personal, because they're just defending their turf the same way you will defend yours. When somebody tells you that why Latinos are not getting involved with the school system, and somebody says, oh, just put food there and they will come. It doesn't work. It does not work. You can bring rice and beans and pulled pork. It doesn't matter. They will not come. I will go. I can assure you, I will be there first in line. They will not come. Because it takes more than that. Because we think Latinos, but we're just stereotyping. We say Latinos, but the biggest population of Latinos that we see is the Puerto Rican population. Okay? But then you go and ask a Mexican family, and they behave differently. You ask a Peruvian family, which, by the way, they're no Latinos, they're Igbo Americans. They act differently as well. Honduras, Panama, Colombia, even any region from Mexico, they behave completely different. The same as Puerto Rico. 100 miles by 35 miles, and depending where you go, we behave completely different. I was born and raised in Puerto Rico. I moved here in 2002. And it was shocking to understand the culture of Puerto Ricans living here. It was completely difficult for me. I couldn't conceive why. You do? Awesome. It is really difficult to conceive why. I came from a hardworking family who taught me, you go out there, you lay it out, you work, and you provide. Then I'm going to houses where, it's fiesta, and the music, and the stuff, and the food, and 5 cars in the front. And I said, where do you work? I work. So I had to learn the culture as well. My own culture, I had to relearn it here. So don't you ever think that because you think you know, you understand. That's the wrong assumption. Because we know it's not equal that we understand. We need to learn to understand why. And it took me a couple years to learn that from my own culture. Okay? Very simple. Don't assume. And Afro-Americans, I love them because once you make friends with them, They don't let go. They just don't let go. They go to my office like, hey, is Robinson here? No, he's not. Okay, I'm gonna wait for him. Well, it might take him like 2 hours. Okay, I'll wait. Anyways, they're awesome people. Just like every other person here. Just like every other person in this world. We're all the same. We just need to understand the culture. A mistake that I have heard before also is, where are you going? Well, I'm going to this Puerto Rican house. Oh, take this person with you. Why? Well, that person is bilingual. Okay. No. Bilingual doesn't make you knowledgeable in the culture. You might understand the language, but you don't understand the culture. Okay? And sometimes many people make mistakes by saying the wrong thing to the wrong family where they shut the door on you. And that's it. Never again. No more contact with that family. You lost them forever. So what I tell people who are bilingual, so you took the time to learn the language, kudos to you. Awesome. How about if you take the time now to learn the culture? My work centers on that. If you learn the culture, you accept that culture, and you show them that you understand the culture, that will open the door for you. Okay. Any questions so far? Am I going too fast? No? Oh, let me give you the microphone.
Everything that you said, we are behind you 100%. Do you also do professional development for staff? It isn't enough in my mind, okay, my experience in schools and doing what I do. It's wonderful that you're there, but just trusting you, okay,
good point,
isn't enough to have all kids performing well.
Absolutely.
So is there, are you sharing what you know, and are people implementing that kind, those efforts?
Actually, that's a very good question. And yes, I do actually provide some sort of a professional development for faculty and school staff members. At the beginning of the year, actually, I was providing presentation for administrators on parental involvement, on what to do and what not to. Okay, I know faculty is a very busy individual, but whenever I can squeeze a few minutes of education for them, I do. Because something funny is teachers are great individuals with the students, but when it comes to the parents, not that good individuals with them. I don't know why. I really don't understand why.
There's no training.
It must be that there's no training, but it's not that difficult, because once they create rapport with that family wants to be there all the time. So yes, we do provide training for faculty and some staff members. It's not mandatory. Whoever wants to be there can be there. I go to the sites if they wanted to. I can do it on any other site as well, with the permission of Mr. Stover, of course. What? But yes, definitely that's a very good point. I mean, if the rest of the staff don't have the training, it will be an almost impossible battle for one person to win. It will be. So in Wyndham right now, we have new strategies on how to bring parents to the school.
I just wanted you to talk about
I think that they don't like you without the mic.
because of the video. So I've been to your district quite a bit of times.
Yes.
They're one of my stars. Sorry, anyone else? So we were there working with your staff, and I think you came to talk about that parent engagement tracker.
Very true.
And I told my colleagues that I loved the tracker because when we have perceptions about districts like Wyndham, we say, well, they don't have any parent involvement. But to see the numbers, like they were in the thousands, I think was a great thing, because it shows staff that parents are really involved. So now they cannot say, well, they're not coming to parent-teacher conference. So I would like for you to talk a little bit about it.
Yes. That's actually a very good point. We are utilizing right now a tool called the Parent Engagement Tracker. created by Millie. She's the creator and CEO. We've been using it for about 3.5 years now, almost 4 years, and it's been an excellent tool. Why? Because we can actually measure, we can record and measure data from parents who are getting involved with the system. When we first started as a family liaison, when I first started as a family liaison, this was the question out there. Why are the kids failing? This was the answer. Parents are not involved. And that's the easiest way, right? 2 years later, I brought a paper with Mr. Stover, and they say, why are the kids failing? Because the parents are not getting involved. So how about 18,000 hours of parental involvement in 1 year? 18,000 hours. 1 school year. Volunteering time, committees, training, events. Absolutely outstanding. Now they're asking a different question. So now the parents are involved. Why are the students not learning? But that's for them to figure it out. My job is to make sure that the parents are involved with the system. Yeah, that's my only job. And yes, that tool actually is very good because once you show the parents as well that there's a tool to measure their involvement, they feel the pressure. They feel the pressure and they say, oh, wait a minute, so now my name is there? So if I show a few hours, what am I going to get? Well, I don't know. I mean, I'll invite you to a party or whatever. I mean, I'll throw some rice and beans at the end of the year. I don't know. Anything. What's better than your kid doing or achieving academically? When they realize that, they give you more time and they get involved. Yes?
Yes. Thank you for your talk.
They don't like you without the mic.
They don't like you without.
Yeah, no, it's for the camera.
Very meaningful. I'm Dr. Lewis from the Scribes Institute.
Nice to meet you.
So I had a little situation, actually a little bit bigger little situation with a social worker. She's 24 years old, fresh out of NYU, master's degree. She went to the house of one of my students, altercation in the home. And so when she went there, she told me the mother was African American, the social worker is Caucasian. She said that, you know, I've read about you and NYU in my books, and you people are prone to not working. And so this is mom.
I'm going to shut up now. Keep going.
And she works every day. And so she says, what you and your husband need to do, the mother's black, the father is Puerto Rican, you and your husband need to get jobs. And I know this from research. So immediately, she was all, kilter with her parents.
She needs to go back to school, first of all.
She has a master's degree, and she proceeded to tell her that she graduated with honors from NYU. The mother threatened, she said some expletives, and threatened that if you don't get on my, and then she says, I read about you people that you're white.
You people.
That's what she said.
Oh my God.
So it didn't go well. They called the cops. It was horrible.
It was a mess.
And so I said to report her to the State Department. But what I'm trying to understand is what kind of training do you have, even for young people that live by a research textbook that might not be the real life story?
That's very good, actually. Great story. Oh, wow. Let me tell you, I believe the second week of February now, we will be having a session with new social workers from the Young Parents Program. I'm going to be providing some training on how to perform home visits, how to be tactful, being careful what to say, what not to say, what kind of information to bring. The biggest point is how to have a heart. You must have a heart when you go to the house. You cannot just read a book and say, this is what I read, this is how it is. You people. You can't do that. But yeah, we're going to be providing trainings like that. I believe it's going to be on March 6th here in New Britain. I'm not. I think it is. I mean, yes, she knows about it. Awesome.
Is it on the website? You can find more information. Get more information about that.
Well, I didn't know I was that famous, but.
So, Blossom, would anyone like to open it up to?
Is it off? I'm sorry.
Yeah. Is it on? The light's on. Okay.
It is on, yes.
We asked Robinson to do this with the social workers that work with the Supports for Pregnant Parenting Teens program. There's 6 of them, but Robinson, if you and Bill are game for a bigger group of people and there are other people that are interested in sending someone for more detailed work, we can find a bigger location.
Oh, that would be awesome.
And do that. So it is March 6th,
March 6th.
which is a Thursday, 9:30 to 11:30.
All right.
So we'll find particularly, you know what, if you are leaving here today, Betsy, Shelby, Judy, can we find a piece of paper to have people just write their name on and an email address if they're, or Judy can send it out, but just how many people are interested?
I can send it out to the whole group.
Perfect.
Okay. And
That's
then
even better.
respond back and then we'll know what size room we need to find.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
For laying out the process of home visits and attitude and experience. You're very young, but you have a lot of experience.
I ain't that young, let me tell you. Don't let this pretty face fool you.
When you spoke about people in Puerto Rico, the culture there, and the culture in the United States and perhaps in Connecticut, it reminded me of the culture of Southern African Americans. In my state of South Carolina at one point, we had full employment of African Americans. Perhaps it was forced employment, but every African American worked. So I come from a value of hard work. Many of us do. What happened during the Great Migration, people moved to, my parents moved to Pennsylvania because the farms were being controlled by the government and small farmers couldn't make it, or sharecroppers couldn't make it. Then they came to cities and towns like Pennsylvania, where there were the steel mills. Many of them came to Connecticut, where there was industry.
Yes.
And where I live, it's a brass city. But even when I came to Connecticut in the 60s, there were laws in DCF. Men were taken out of the home and women were given welfare. And if you had another baby, social workers would come into the home and they would look for evidence that a man was staying there.
Right.
This is another workshop.
Oh, yes.
But you talk about background and history, why things are the way that they are. You need to know a little bit more, because getting involved politically and knowing what's happening on a government level, how change evolves and how it affects the people. So there's the cause and the effect.
Absolutely, I agree with you. Thank you. Any other questions? Uh-oh. I'm afraid of her, I don't know.
No.
Go ahead.
No, don't be, because I don't want you to think that people have not closed the doors, but they haven't. And primarily, I think the best point you made that I don't see in our district, and I'm from New Britain, originally from Hartford, is that the teachers don't live in the city, nor do they participate in any of the community activities. They don't go to, there's a lot of celebrations, the Puerto Rican parade.
Absolutely.
It's a great opportunity to get to know parents. I'm grassroots.
Get out there. Go out there and do it.
And go into the housing developments, and because there's a lot of activity. They don't know. One of the things that we're doing in New Britain, because we have a coalition of New Britain youth, is we kind of merge with the community-based organizations, and we know the parents. I shop at Price Right, Walmart, all those places, and I'm in the community. So I just think it's important that you can't stress that enough, that even if you come for an hour, or even if you pop up, you need to be visible in the communities you work with these kids in. Got to be. It works.
Absolutely. I agree with you. And you know something very important about my district right now? We have a new superintendent, Dr. Garcia. She's from Panama. And the very first thing that she did was to ask Mrs. Stover and us, the liaisons, to set up some sort of meetings but not in central office. The meetings was going to be set up on every community center with different dates. And we did it. We went to every community center where she had about 45 minutes or an hour just talking to the parents. We did it for about 2 months. And the parents love her now because she's open for conversation, because she understands the people in Willimantic, the culture. And that's the most important thing. I think my time is up. I can still go? Okay, come on. Because you have any other questions? Uh-oh. He's smiling. He has a good one. He must have a really good one.
Good morning, and thank you.
Good morning.
I heard this interesting phrase recently, cultural humility.
Yes.
And that's the ability to take the time necessary to actually get to learn about people. We can read it in books, but it's a lot different when we actually develop a relationship. And it takes a lot longer. And I think sometimes the challenge is, are we willing to really invest the amount of time necessary in order to get to know people? We can read it in a book, but it might not. It might be totally inappropriate.
Right.
So, it does take a significant investment in time, but the return on that is really, really great.
It does take a lot of time and a lot of effort. It's not an easy task to perform, but I call this a chain reaction. Once a family gets to know you, the family who knows that family, they're going to know you as well. And then the family who know the family from the family, they're going to get to know you as well. So it's going to get easier with time. But you got to, give the first step. One of you.
I was just wondering,
It's for the camera. If not, they're not going to like you.
oh, they won't like me. Oh, for that.
Say hi.
On the community meetings that the superintendent held, what was the attendance? I mean,
Well, at the beginning was not that many. We had about 7 or 10 in the first ones. Then it started growing, 20, 23. Our highest one, I believe, was 36, which actually is pretty good for our area. Hopefully next year when we start doing this again, we're going to have 50, 60, 100. Because once they start going out, they get used to it. But it's our job to make sure that they know about these meetings, to make sure that they feel comfortable enough. So something that I do is, when I invite a parent for an activity, I make sure that I'm going to be in that activity. Okay? I just don't tell them, hey, go to this activity. It's going to be awesome. There's going to be food, by the way. No. I tell them I will be there. I'm going to spend the whole time right next to you if I have to. And if you don't understand the language, I will be providing interpretation for you. So make the commitment. They will really appreciate that. Any more questions? Yeah. Thank you.
I think the tracker is a great idea, but is it limited to what parents do in school-sponsored activities in the building? Because so much happens in the home.
Yes.
And changing the home or some things in the home so that parents know, boy, if I do this, this will help my child is also as important as coming to the committee meeting or,
Absolutely. So let me get this. Parental involvement start at the house. Okay. Right now, our tool is measuring just prefabricated activities, but we are working actually on being able to track the involvement that they're having at their homes, which is the most important one. And we do understand that. It's going to be a little difficult, yes, but we're trying to create a way to measure it without sacrificing integrity.
Will you commit truly to, when you find that way, okay, to sharing it with us? Because I think a lot of us want to know our efforts, that if we run a series of workshops or if we do whatever, what's implementation like? What, has something changed in the home? Have parents, done something that they've never done before? Are they happy with it? Do they not use it? Whatever it is, and it's, as you said, it's very difficult, to do that.
But once we figure it out, I can promise you this, if Judy and Betsy wants me here, we can have another coffee conversation about it, and I will share that information with you on how to actually measure that kind of involvement with the families. Thank you.
And we'll keep our workshop fees low.
I would only charge you 10%. Okay?
I'm a big proponent, is this on? Yeah, okay. Of deepening the social connections between the participants at any event, because I think that encourages engagement. Can you talk?
Is it green? Is it on? Is it green? Is it green?
Go. Yeah. Now it is.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm a big proponent of conducting programs in a way that deepens the social connection between the participants, not just the relationship between staff and participants, but the relationships between parents. So can you talk a little bit about, because I think that encourages engagement outside in the community and in the environment that you want it in.
Absolutely.
Can you talk a little bit about
Absolutely. In our area, we have different ways to engage with parents. One technique that we use, and yeah, I know that before I said food doesn't work all the time, an international potluck. Okay? That's been wonderful in our site. All the sites, the whole district actually. We hold one, I believe it's in Sweeney School, which is one of the elementary school, but it's international, and then middle school as well. It's open to all the parents for all the district. They come in, and for their surprise, it's not only just a potluck. We have areas where we have the Mexican culture showing the way they dance. Then we have some merengue and salsa classes for the Caribbean people. Then we have a hip hop class or a hip hop group, talking about how hip hop was actually created in the United States, which it was created on the Bronx in New York by a bunch of Puerto Ricans, by the way. Yes. And so on and so forth. Our main purpose when we create those activities is, like you said, is to create cultural awareness, to get them all together. There's a few cultures that we haven't been able to break through. For example, the Asian culture. I'm still trying to figure it out. We have a few on my site, and there's a little bit hesitant of joining efforts or hands with other cultures. I'm not gonna get through them somehow. It's a work in progress, but yeah, other ways is by giving them professional development. Like Mr. Stover said, we train parents on common sense parenting, people empowering people. Also Parent C, which is a great class, by the way. I'm just graduated from the class. Parent C. Parent seeking educational excellence, right? Got it right? Supporting. Parents supporting. There you go. It's a great class, let me tell you. I recommend that class to all the parents from every single district in Connecticut, because it will create leaders. The leaders that you actually need to make the change in the school system. Because, believe it or not, the parents have the voice to make the change. And if you train them well, that change will come. Plain and simple. But you have to give them the tool, and you have to reassure them and empower them that they have what it takes to make that change.
Where is that class?
That class actually, a good friend here, she can give you all the information. Actually, that class is all over Connecticut, right? Would you like to talk about it a little bit? Absolutely. It's one of my favorite classes, let me tell you. Is it on? It's all yours now.
So, Parent C is like PLTI or PEP in that it's a parent leadership training and focused on building leadership in the school system. Focusing the 4 themes in the training are leadership, change, the educational system, and partnering. So parents get tools and kind of walk away with a toolbox in those 4 areas. It's been officially launched in Connecticut since 2008. This year it's taking place in New Britain, so Kim is coordinating that. In Middletown, Donna can tell you about it there. Waterbury, can tell you about it in Waterbury. This has gone on there for a little while. In Hamden and also in Stratford. So those are the 5 sites for this winter-spring season. It's possible to get funding. Assuming that we continue to have a parent trust fund in Connecticut, you can apply for funding from the Parent Trust Fund for parent leadership programs, for PEP, for PLTI, for Parent C, for Aspira, for other parent leadership training programs. So lobby your legislators to continue to keep that fund alive. And I'd be happy to talk to anyone else about it in more detail. I work for the Center for School Change, and the Center for School Change and the Commission on Children co-created. Parent C and I coordinate it throughout the state. Doug Edwards used to coordinate it throughout the state, so he's also a good person to talk to you about it.
Thank you very much. Now, something very important is all these classes have given me the tools to become a better home visitor, a better family liaison. So I took the time to be part of every single class and learn as much as I could. From Common Sense Parenting, which I took the class and I already had my kids 15 and 13 years old, but I said, oh, yeah, why not? Let me take it. I learned new things. People empowering people. I learned how to voice myself and how to help others to voice themselves out in the community so they can have a change in their community. Parent C, it helps you, it teaches you how to navigate through the school system, especially through the Board of Ed system, which is something that, for some reason, for parents, that's a taboo. They hear Board of Ed, they're running away. But this class is amazing. Also, we have another class that gets all the cultures together, is Cooking Matters. It's cooking with a budget and a healthy way. And it's been one of the most successful classes in Wyndham because we have some sort of health issues when it comes to obesity and diabetes and that kind of stuff. That class actually helped the parents, and that's my way in to their houses. Plus, the food is good too. I get to eat by the end of the day for free. Now, it's a great class. It's a 6 weeks class, 2.5 hours. They get to cook either by themselves or with their kids. And at the end of the day, they bring some groceries to their house so they can cook for their families as well. So it's a really great class. Parent C, now we have about 45 to 55 graduates in Wyndham. 65, I stand corrected. We have 65 graduates in Wyndham. This is the beautiful thing. Our superintendent of school, Dr. Garcia, is getting all the Parent C graduates from Wyndham together because she's looking to create some sort of committee out of those parents. Now she's going to tell them, you have the knowledge, you have the education, let's make the change. Let's make it happen. And I'm very excited. I'm going to be part of that committee, and I'm looking forward to it. Any more questions? All right, Betsy.